Well, holy crap. Kevin Durant just formally requested a trade from the Brooklyn Nets, and this is not a BS report. This is fully from Shams as well as Adrian Wojnarowski. It is official. Kevin Durant wants out of Brooklyn. So I'm going to throw this video together real quick, completely unscripted, not script or bullet points, anything like that. Hopefully it meets a decent level of satisfaction quality-wise. But yeah, this is a big deal. So let's talk about it. Before I continue on with this video, if you are new here and you haven't subscribed already and you enjoyed this video, then please be sure to subscribe. Also drop a like on this video. It only takes 1 second and makes a massive difference in how the video performs in the YouTube algorithm. So, Kevin Durant has requested a trade, and that immediately spawns a bunch of questions. The first of which, what's the deal with that? Because it seemed as though the indication was if Kyrie is back, Kevin Durant is back. The way that I would guess he's feeling about this situation and the reason why he's still requesting a trade is, in all likelihood, even though Kyrie did pick up that player option and he is remaining with the team, it's pretty evident that the relationship with that front office is extremely tentative and it's not going to be good in the long term. So at his age of 34 years old, I guess Kevin Durant is trying to jump the shark or get ahead of this thing before it's actually a problem. That's not even what jump the shark means, so forget I said that. So I imagine for Kevin Durant, he is simply seeing the writing on the wall, and he knows that this isn't really going to work. They're not going to win a championship next year, and next year things are going to blow up. So I might as well ask out now while I still have the extra season in me. I might as well get something out of this upcoming season rather than wasting it at my age. So I think that's what happened here. Another thing that's worthy of mention is that I believe it was Chris Haynes who reported it, who is a pretty reliable source. Apparently Kevin Durant's preferred trade destination is the Phoenix Suns. So that will be very interesting to see. We haven't really seen a lot of suitors for DeAndre Ayton. A lot of the teams that were rumored to be interested in him have made other moves or seem to have just simply fallen out of talking about it, and in general his prospects just don't look quite as good as they did, and it's actually a question as to whether or not he's going to get a max contract. But there very well could be a DeAndre and sign and trade along with Mikal Bridges and just a whole lot of shit going to Brooklyn in exchange for Kevin Durant. Now, I actually believe that with the restrictions of how sign-and trades work, this would essentially have to be a two-parter trade where the original trade is just Bridges and salary filler or whatever, and then the second trade is DeAndre Ayton for like nothing. But either way, regardless of how the semantics of that work, that's what the package would be. Probably Cam Johnson in there as well, a handful of first-round picks. And if that's the case, if that move actually ends up being what comes to be, the Suns are the title favorite for sure. Like, I don't think there's even a question about that, even though losing Bridges and Ayton would definitely be significant. Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant, as well as filling out the rest of that roster with some pretty good role players, is nothing to shake a stick at. Now, one thing that makes no sense to me is that literally a minute after Shams posted that Kevin Durant requested a trade, he then posted that Utah is trading Royce O'Neal to Brooklyn for a first-round pick. So what is Brooklyn doing trading a first-round pick right now? If they're about to lose Kevin Durant, I don't understand that decision whatsoever. So what now? Well, I'm not going to go ahead and speculate too much on trades because I already did a video on that when it was just a hypothetical that he would ask out. But what's worthy of mention is that even though he does have the Phoenix Suns as his preference for his landing spot, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's where he's going to end up, because the guy has 4 years on his contract, and as good of a player as he is, as vocal, as loud of a voice as he has as a player, at the end of the day, it's all about leverage. And when you're on a 4-year deal, there's not really a lot of leverage you have to say, put me on this team or I'm going to be trouble, because you would have to be wildly unprofessional, which I kind of hate the term unprofessional, but at least in terms of how the public optics work, I think you should be able to do this, but a lot of people will get pissy at you about it. And Kevin Durant already has enough haters as it is, and he very clearly cares about them, whether he likes to admit it or not. It would be a huge fuss if he got traded to some other team. It was like, I don't want to be here. Trade me again. Like, I don't think that's going to happen. So, unless it's just he got traded to some fucking dog shit team. So, for that reason, Kevin Durant, like, just because the Phoenix Suns are his preference does not mean that that's an outright guarantee. I will say it's probably an outright guarantee that he goes to a contender of some kind, because again, of this potential of like, I do think he has enough leverage to say, I need to be put on a contending level team. What also interests me about this is that no teams have made really big splash moves outside of the Atlanta Hawks. And ironically, I did say in that Hawks video that you might regret that move because you traded kind of all of your assets for DeJounte Murray when maybe you could have held on to them and done something better. And the Hawks actually had a really damn good trade package for Kevin Durant, but guess that's not happening now because they decided to get DeJounte Murray. I don't know that that's going to be... I'm not going to treat that like that was a guarantee, but it's definitely something worthy of note. But I would say the fact that no one really made a significant move, I feel like a lot of people have held out on the hope that Kevin Durant does ask out. And now that that's the case, we're going to see some wild offers on the table. I had a lot of people say in my Kevin Durant might be gone video, the one I talked about earlier, speculating on what his trades would look like if he did ask out. A lot of people said that my trades were overpaying for him. No, they were not. I'm going to stand pretty firm on that. Kevin Durant is insane. I don't care if he's 34. I don't care if he's had injury issues in the last couple of years. Very few teams ever have the opportunity to have somebody as good as Kevin Durant on their roster at any point. And to do it, especially for some of these teams that can win a championship as soon as they do it, I don't care about the long-term implications. You're making that move. Something like Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray, yeah, that's a lot to give up, but I guarantee you the Nuggets would be willing to do so. So to that end, we're going to see something fucking crazy happen. And I got to say, as a content creator, I really appreciate that, because this offseason was looking like it was going to be kind of bland, and now we have something fucking crazy happening. Okay, I'm reading some tweets from Woj now, just real quick to close this thing out. First of all, Sean Marks is working with Kevin Durant and his business manager, Rich Kleiman, on the trade for the star, so the Nets are not resisting. They're like, all right, we're going to trade you then. As the Nets prepare to move one of the most valuable trade assets ever on the market, the entire roster will be available to discuss in detail, sources tell ESPN. Teams have been calling on Durant, and the Nets will certainly look for a historic return on players and draft picks. I told you it's going to be a lot. Even Woj says the same, and the Nets are looking for that. Phoenix and Miami are among two teams on the wish list for Kevin Durant. And I guess those are the only two options for him. Those are the only two that he's really specifically interested in. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving had no contact with the franchise after Irving opted into his deal on Monday, and a sense of inevitability existed that Durant would eventually ask for a trade, sources tell ESPN. And the way that a lot of this has been framed, the fact that there has been no major trade so far, does suggest to me that the league was prepared for this to happen, and because of that, they weren't really making crazy moves. It seemed as though the league knew that Kevin Durant was going to ask out, and it was just a matter of time, and they were waiting for their opportunity to pounce on that. So, yeah, I mean, those are my initial thoughts. We're going to have a lot of crazy shit to look out for. So, also worth mentioning, like, Ben Simmons in this whole ordeal. Is he about to get his own team on top of whatever assets the Nets end up getting back? It's actually genuinely possible that the Nets are still a playoff team after a Kevin Durant trade, because, like, if you got Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., and Ben Simmons on the same team, and you have a decent core around that, that's pretty good. But also worth mentioning, if the Nets are going to try and be bad, they might trade Ben Simmons again. A lot of players like Seth Curry and Joe Harris have a good amount of value, and they could be on the market now. And then Kyrie Irving, what happens with that guy? The guy feels like a tainted asset at this point, so I don't know how many teams are willing to give up more than an expiring contract for the guy. Hell, maybe Kyrie to the Lakers ends up happening. Whole lot of stuff to talk about, whole lot of speculation, but that's about where my head's at right now. And I can't wait to see where it goes from here, because it's certainly going to be spicy, and I fucking appreciate that. But anyways, that is it. Goodbye.